All right, yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome into A Bettor Morning brought to you by Rival Fantasy. Rival Fantasy, your all-in-one fantasy sports platform. I'm getting winning emails from them every Monday morning. Hop in their challenges game, or maybe you want to play fantasy bingo, or maybe it's your season-long team that's over there. Whatever the case may be, shout out to Rival Fantasy. Corey Parson, the fantasy executive, right here. A Bettor Morning. Good morning, everybody. You know what I'm saying? How's everybody doing on this, where I'm at? Looks like a rainy Wednesday morning. So getting ready to get the day started. It's time to push ahead. Obviously, a lot of leagues will have your fab bids go down tonight. Time to push ahead to week 4 of the season. So I'll be discussing a couple games that I've seen some heavy wagering on so far. Getting into those games in a second. And also I want to talk about the situation with the New York Jets. You know, we've seen where Aaron Rodgers has already came out and spoke about the situation. We've seen where Joe Namath have had some comments. The latest person to chime in on the New York Jets situation is Colin Kaepernick. So we'll get into that in a minute. First, I want to start what I was telling you about, looking through some splits, right? Trying to get ready for the weekend and have a good, successful weekend against the spread and bring that same good information right here to the people on the Better Sports Network. And just looking through some of the teams and some of the situations for this week. And there was a couple of games I wanted to touch on. A couple of, obviously, every week in the AFC, we have a monster matchup. This week, we have 2 monster AFC matchups with the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. But the one I want to focus on and discuss right now is the Cleveland Browns as a 2.5-point home favorite versus the Baltimore Ravens coming into this game right here. This is going to be an early AFC North showdown. Really, the team that wins this game will have the early spot in the driver's seat in the AFC North. The Cleveland Browns have been fantastic so far this season. Really have to be impressed with what they have been able to do defensively. Myles Garrett, that defensive line, that back end, really looked like one of the more devastating units in the NFL this season that you have with the Cleveland Browns. So they are a 2.5-point favorite at home. They get their division rivals coming into town, the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens coming off a loss last week at home versus the Indianapolis Colts. So they are 2-1 on the season. They went on the road and got that victory versus the Bengals a couple weeks ago. That was a big-time victory. So can Baltimore go on the road versus 2 division foes and get that win? You know what? I think that is going to be the case, but it seems as if the rest of the public is not agreeing with me. Because when you look at the betting splits or betting stats via the DraftKings Sportsbook, what you'll see is that despite the ticket count being 50-50, about 70% of the handle in this one right here is on the side with the Cleveland Browns. So that means if you're on that side with that big handle, that means you're on the side of you're opposite the house. Let's just put it that way. Because I do think it's some respected money coming in there, coming down on the Cleveland Browns. Now, if you was to go and do like a Google stat search, or you go do your own ATS search, or you go back and look through the game histories, most places would tell you that in the last 4 meetings between these two teams that or the last 3 meetings that between these two teams that they are even 3-3, 2-2, no matter how you want to look at it. But when you dig a little bit deeper, the Cleveland Browns' success versus the Baltimore Ravens these past couple years have come on the weeks when Lamar Jackson was out. So Cleveland's most recent 2 victories over the Baltimore Ravens, they've beaten Snoop Huntley, and not Lamar Jackson. When Lamar Jackson plays against the Cleveland Browns, it's a much different story. So because Lamar Jackson 4-2 ATS and on the money line his last 6 games versus the Cleveland Browns. So I'm going to go on the opposite of that, and I will take the 2.5 and sprinkle the money line with the Baltimore Ravens. Now, Cleveland does have this fantastic defense, right? And there's no denying that. But Lamar Jackson is a problem that can put too much pressure on the defense. This number opened up 1.5, pushed up to 2.5. I found that interesting. Baltimore's already gone on the road and got a division win this year. So I like where the Ravens are coming at, because I think what Lamar Jackson can do is put more pressure on that defense. Now, his weapons are hurt. Odell Beckham hurt. You have a situation with Gus Edwards could be with concussion symptoms, and Justice Hill is already going down, and Melvin Gordon is the running back. And here's what I've always tell people when it comes to these type of quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson is the one that is the perfect weapon. Lamar Jackson is the weapon. You know how a lot of these quarterbacks, people can play it over and their favorite quarterback's not doing good. Oh, well, he don't have no weapons. And I always say, well, when you're that type of quarterback, you make that kind of money, you are supposed to be the weapon. Lamar Jackson embodies that. If Lamar has to go out there and throw for 300 and run for 100, he'll do that to get that done. As long as Mark Andrews is out there, and I like the kid, Zay Flowers is coming up as a guy that likes to roam in the middle of the field as well, where Lamar Jackson likes to throw it. Jackson would be the running back. He has his two weapons, Andrews and Jackson. Baltimore Ravens live in this one right here. So I would go against that public sentiment, and I would back the Baltimore Ravens this week on the road versus the Cleveland Browns. Should be one of the classic or very good early season AFC matchup. Total in that game is 41. There's sharp betting on the under in that game right there. A ton of money coming in on the under. People think that these two teams have a low-scoring game this week. So the total, I'm really not ready to handicap that one yet. But that's where I stand on that contest right there. That's going to be a big game this weekend. Another AFC matchup that's going to be zesty and interesting and juicy is the Pittsburgh Steelers going on the road to Houston to face the Texans. This should be a good game right here. Houston comes in. We look at the latest splits at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Houston comes into this contest as a 3-point home underdog. Pittsburgh laying a 3 on the road. Once again, with this one, you see a discrepancy in tickets. Tickets heavy on the Buffalo Bills, money heavy on the Houston Texans. So some sharp or respected money coming in on the Texans in this game right here. And why not? I've always tell people this all the time. The most difficult thing to do in sports betting is forgetting what your eyes just saw, right? Your eyes just saw a good performance from the Houston Texans. Your eyes just saw them going to Jacksonville and basically dominate the game and control the game the whole time. Your eyes just saw C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins, and that Houston Texans offense looking decent, excuse me. Your eyes saw DeMeco Ryans doing a great job early head coaching this team. Remember, the Broncos really wanted to make their hire DeMeco Ryans, but DeMeco Ryans, like most of the other head coaching candidates this cycle, didn't want no part of that quarterback in Denver. You can say I'm hating on son if you want to or not, but the truth of the matter is the truth of the matter. Let's keep the main thing in Denver. But we're not here to bash on the Denver Broncos. We've done that all week, and everybody's joined in along with us. But this is what I'll tell you about this game right here. Before you get googly eyes with the Houston Texans, the Pittsburgh Steelers have been fantastic on the road past couple years. And you say, well, what about in the Kenny Pickett era? I'm talking about the last 6 games. I'm only judging the Pittsburgh Steelers off of when Ben Roethlisberger was gone. And in their last 6 road games, the Pittsburgh Steelers are 4-2 on the money line. And I say on the money line and not against the spread because when you look at this, -3 is really a money line game, particularly when you're backing the road team as I am in this one right here. And listen, they're going against all kind of tough ATS spots, back-to-back road games. That's not really a spot that you want to back. But road teams have been particularly good against the spread this year. Like I said, I've been saying this for a couple of years now. A home field advantage is really a fallacy. There's not really no such thing as a home field advantage. Yeah, you can get a little boost at certain times from the game by your crowd, but really the home field is really about crowd noise coming down the stretch, and no team travels as good as the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you can almost say that the Pittsburgh Steelers are in a plus environment just about every week. You saw the game on Sunday night versus Las Vegas. It was terrible towels all over that joint. That's going to be the same thing in Houston this weekend. They got a big fan base. That fan base travels well, and it reflects in the record of the team on the road. 4-2 on the money line and ATS in their last 6. Like what the Houston Texans are doing. What I would say with this is, if I'm going to wager this one right here, I'm going to take this one to the window. What I am going to do is I am going to move that 3 down to 2.5. I'll buy the juice. You get Pittsburgh -2.5 at $1.20. Fire on that one right there. But I think the Pittsburgh Steelers can clear the number easily with no problem. So I like the Pittsburgh Steelers this weekend. Another team coming on as a back-to-back road games is the Los Angeles Rams. They travel to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. I really hope that Anthony Richardson's status improves so he can get out there this week for the Indianapolis Colts, get out that concussion protocol and get on that field. Rams coming into town. Listen, this Rams team has competed. We like what we've seen from Williams and Nakua. Great fantasy numbers. They've competed well. They've been a better team than we thought they would be. Now, going on the road in this spot right here, when you look at the betting splits for this week, 64% of the tickets at the DraftKings Sportsbook are backing the Los Angeles Rams, which would make them a trendy underdog. One of the things I like to do in sports betting is fade trendy underdogs. Indianapolis Colts right here, they're sitting down here, 36% of the tickets, but you're seeing some sharp action come in on the handle. Is 44% of the money is back in the Indianapolis Colts. And I'm going to fall on the side of the Indianapolis Colts on that one as well. Unlike the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Los Angeles Rams have no fans, not even in their own building. So when they go on the road, they don't have a whole bunch of terrible towels. So let's just talk about the numbers, straight up stats. Look at this as a money line game because the point spread is 1.5. The Rams are 2-8 on the money line in their last 10 road games. So fading the Rams on the road has been very profitable. So I will do that, and I'll take the Indianapolis Colts. Just a couple of 3 early little looks out there because looking at these numbers, these are going to be some of the heavily bet games this week. And I think that people could be on the wrong side with the Rams, the Texans, and the Cleveland Browns. So I just broke it down there right there for you. Hopefully we get on the right side of that one right there. Now, fantasy footballers got a big night tonight. Got to go in there and get your fab bids together and get right. Do not do it without starting a free 7-day trial of Fantasy Alarm's All-Pro subscription. Get all the Week 4 DFS content and picks for free. Go to fantasyalarm.com/win. Once again, do not start your process of getting ready for Week 4 without signing up for a free 7-day trial of Fantasy Alarm's All-Pro subscription. Get that DFS content and the picks. And don't forget, fantasyalarm.com/win. Let's win. Let's get it. So kind of a slow news day yesterday. What I wanted to do is I wanted to bring, a little, it's just us talking, keep this between us, y'all. The little blue parlay cards. One of the homies out here got them. And I want to show you, and I'm going to probably do this later on this week, the handicap. And those cards are difficult to handicap. And I'm going to show you why. But I started to bring that, and I was like, no, I'm good on that one right there. Going through some stories. I wanted to talk about some college football coming up this weekend, but not really a big weekend in college football. You do got some matchups. Obviously, USC and Colorado is going to be the cat's meow. But there's a couple games, a couple of SEC matchups this weekend. LSU is going to Ole Miss. That's going to be interesting. And then you got South Carolina traveling to Tennessee. Tennessee obviously looking to get some revenge on Carolina for knocking them out in the college football playoff last year and ending Hendon Hooker's season. So that'd be 2 interesting SEC matchups at night. Really, I've been very critical of Spencer Rattler, but when you look around the SEC, you really can say that Spencer Rattler and the young man from LSU, Jaden Daniels, have been the best quarterbacks in the SEC so far this season. But bad lines don't travel, and Carolina does have a bad line. But listen, that's neither here nor there. That's not really what I wanted to get into today. Maybe touch on that a little bit later on in the week. So I saw last night where Colin Kaepernick, former, we know who Colin Kaepernick is, Nike pitchman and activist, sent a letter to the New York Jets, basically, a letter of interest to the New York Jets, basically letting them know that he'll be ready to, that he wants to come in there and be a part of the team, run their practice squad. And so the report says that rapper J. Cole released this letter from Colin Kaepernick. 8 years ago when this Kaepernick thing first went down, I was a supporter of what the message was behind Colin Kaepernick. But almost a decade later, in a lawsuit against the NFL, which he settled to an undisclosed amount, I'm starting to look at this situation a little bit differently. And then when I see things like this, I think that I'm going in the right direction. This guy's a grifter who loves the spotlight. Like, what is he looking for? Like another Nike campaign or something? Because why? First of all, you think J. Cole just said, hey, you know what? Hey, Colin, let me release this letter. No, he asked him to do it. It's not just Colin Kaepernick wants to release this letter. No, he called him up and said, hey, can you release this for me? J. Cole was probably minding his business. There's a section out there that think that this kid can still play, though. This man, let me tell you something. Deshaun Watson missed 2 years of football and came back looking like Zach Wilson. What do you think Colin Kaepernick is going to look like after missing 7 years and being 35 years old? Let's take a couple snippets from this letter. Joe, talking to Joe Douglas, President, New York Jet Operations. I hope this letter finds you in great spirits despite the less than ideal start to a big season. I'm wishing you, your staff, and the players a great game this weekend as you look to bounce back. I'm writing, of course, in response to the unfortunate loss of Aaron Rodgers. I know the aspirations this season were and still are to win a championship, and so that the Hall of Fame size hole will need to be filled as best as possible to keep the team on the Super Bowl track. Let me find this. To keep the team. Sorry, I'm right now with my daughter. As of right now, Zach Wilson is charged with that task, and I wish him and the rest of the team the best moving forward. However, I know that there are likely to be depth issues at the position, and I've heard that the backup spot is likely to be filled by a veteran quarterback. As much as I would love the opportunity to fill that spot, Grifton, I'm writing you in hopes that you can imagine a much different opportunity and a much different approach involving me. I'd be honored and extremely grateful for the opportunity to come in and lead the practice squad. I could do this with the sole mission of getting your defense ready each week. If I were able to fill this role, I believe this will allow for multiple things to happen. Colin Kaepernick, cut it out. Stop harassing the New York Jets. Please. They don't have any interest, Colin Kaepernick. Why do you want to come in there and steal the spotlight in this moment from this team? Like, this team has gone through enough. Now you want to walk into the locker room and everybody can come over there at your locker and put the cameras in your face and you can do your thing. And nobody, listen, Colin, it's over, bro. We were very supportive of you a decade ago. It's over. It's over. Enough. Stop harassing the Jets, please. For Christ's sakes, Colin. Every time I wake up, you showing a little bit of leg to the Jets. The Jets, the Jets are not interested, Colin. Okay? You're making yourself look like a sideshow puppet or something like that right now. What's up with all the advances on the New York Jets? They don't want you. 35 years old, you come out there, Colin Kaepernick, you know what's going to happen, son? You're going to get hurt. You don't want to get hurt. You make good money as a Nike pitchman. Keep doing your thing, living your life, but stop with all this grifting with the Jets. It's just very unbecoming of you, Colin. I mean, my goodness, every time I turn around, Colin Kaepernick in the Jets DMs. The Jets stay leaving Colin Kaepernick on red. Listen, when you hop in somebody's DMs, after 2-3 times they don't respond, leave it alone and go about your business. Colin, stop hopping in the Jets DM thinking that they're going to show you a little something. They're not interested. They got a man already. You know what I'm saying? They're going with their guy. They're going to try to stick it out. No more writing letters and having your friends release the letters and stuff like that. Colin, just go sit down, son. Please go somewhere and sit down because you, as a quarterback at the NFL, it's not going to happen, right? Let's start with the fact that you sued them. Okay, let's start there, right? Secondly, let's go to the fact that you ain't played in like a decade. Watson came back, missed 2 years, looked like Zach Wilson. What you think you're going to look like? Oh, well, I only want to run the practice squad. Stop releasing. The Jets didn't respond to the damn letter, Colin. So you're going to have J. Cole release. Why are you bringing J. Cole? I know J. Cole sitting in his house in North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? Doing whatever it is that J. Cole like to do. And he probably like, why I got to get involved in this? The last person to know it's over is the professional athlete. And when you start sliding in teams' DMs and they leaving you on red and you still kicking and screaming, bro, it's a grift. It's not very becoming. The tide has changed. Public opinion has changed. You know what I'm saying? So there you go right there. That's just my couple thoughts on the homie Colin Kaepernick. Hopefully he pulls it together and gets it going. All right, I want to thank everybody for rocking and rolling today. Once again, Rival Fantasy is the all-in-one fantasy sports platform. You can play challenges, Fantasybook, Fantasy Bingo, plus season-long fantasy football. If your fantasy football season is already a bust, draft a second chance season-long league with Rival Fantasy and receive $250 in cash prizes. Go to joinrival.com/alarm. New users who sign up at Rival Fantasy Get a $20 deposit match and a complimentary first play. All right, coming up next on the Better Sports Network, it is Sportstopia Fantasy Fire and Ice MLB with the homies Chris Crawford and Sarah Sanchez. For the lovely and talented Heather Klein, it's your boy Corey Parson, the fantasy exec. Holla at you tomorrow.